Hey, I'm Ted Santos. You know me from Straight Talk, the talk show that is made for men by men, and ladies never want to miss it. And I'm back out here standing on the Hudson River looking at Manhattan again. And I have a few ships out here today. You can see all the way uptown in Harlem and all the way down to the Freedom Tower and a whole bunch of tall buildings. That New York skyline is changing a lot if you look at that over the years. So I'm hanging out and I want to talk to you about something that most people really don't want to talk about. And I want to tell you, here's why every man's mother is working against him. Like, how could I even say that, right? Most people are like, you've got to be crazy, and especially women. You would say I'm insane you think I'm speaking badly or bashing mothers, and I'm really not. So let's get it straight, right? Many of us have seen women choose gender over community, over a family, and surely over the nation. So women have chosen feminism regardless of the statistics you give women and tell them that it's hurting, and they believe they didn't need a man and raise children alone, and they are still choosing gender over their own family. And this choice, it affects the way a woman raises her son. It affects what she'll say to him and what she won't say to him. And if you have sisters, you probably know what I'm talking about. So to really lay this out, I've got to address two topics. And I usually don't like to combine two separate topics, except I really have to touch on this second one, and it's personal development. And I don't mean that in the sense of self-help or reading books. This is the kind of development you receive from your parents, and that development, it really affects how you see yourself, and how you see yourself, that's going to affect how you engage the world. It really does. So many mothers, they go out of their way to inflate the sense of self-worth with their daughters. And this has given many girls and women a false sense of security. And it's the reason so many women grow up with this sense of entitlement. And so mothers, they generally take their sons for granted and say, well, it's a man's world and he's going to be fine. And I don't have to explain to you all the statistics about the amount of homeless men and the amount of men who are disposable through military and in these hard jobs where some even die, or extreme amounts of stress, because women, they don't want those jobs. They don't want to be on the front line of the military. Men are disposable, not women. So I'm saying that a lot of mothers don't put the same focus with their sons that they put with their daughters, and the outcome is women believe they can say and do whatever they want to a man, and a man should be lucky just to have a woman in his life. So a lot of you guys don't really know how to handle that without getting upset, and some of you guys, in the worst cases, become even violent. So when I'm talking about personal development, I'm talking about transformational personal development. And I don't mean that in a sense of people think, oh, just change yourself, or just get over it, or move on. That's actually horrible advice. I'm talking about transformational in the sense that things don't stay the same, and it's intentional. So think about this. If you want to go to the NBA, no one gets to the NBA just by wishing it, right? Or thinking they will. You actually have to be intentional and put in the work and train and develop yourself to become qualified to be an NBA player. Transformation is the same thing. It's very intentional. It's not something you get because you did some self-reflection. It's more like unlearning and stripping down what you learned. And a lot of things that you learned even as a child affect you forever as an adult. And these are things that you don't even know you don't know. You just don't see them, and they become blind spots. So I'm talking about the kind of transformational personal development where you become something that you've never been. And so right now, as it stands, most women, and so, okay, here's what I'm also saying. When you do that kind of transformational personal development, it allows you to have a much greater sense of self, and it becomes easier to see through women and see the games they're playing. And in fact, a lot of women, when they see you're that kind of guy, they know they have to step up to be with you. Some of those women will opt out and know they just don't have what it takes, even though I know a lot of women do that already. So, and I've seen many women opt out because they know they don't belong. And in fact, the woman will know that you can see her false sense of security is just a house of cards that will crumble. It's going to collapse. So she knows she has to be more than what she's ever had to be with other men. And I think a lot of women have this, I'm doing a man a favor by being with you, and you should just be happy that I'm with you and don't expect anything from me. And not to get sidetracked, women even do that with sex. They believe that you should be just lucky I open my legs for you. And that kind of makes a lot of women mediocre lovers. And unfortunately, a lot of guys don't know the difference, because a lot of women will do what you call freaky stuff to overcompensate for being mediocre. And a lot of guys think that will believe that's a good lover. But that's another conversation. What I'm getting at is this kind of mindset is really the result of feminism. So, when you understand this, you understand that 100% of women need to be stripped down of the feminist mindset. So when you've gone through that transformational personal development, you understand what it's like to strip down and unlearn things. And when you can do it for yourself, it becomes easier to do it with a woman with precision and class without traumatizing her or even damaging her for life. And I think that may happen in too many cases where guys are frustrated with a woman and may end up mentally or even physically hurting a woman, and she never recovers and she becomes trash for the next guy. So, what else am I saying here? If women were not unfairly or disproportionately focused on developing their daughters, you wouldn't have things like MGTOW and CISPEM and red pill and black pill. None of those things would have come into existence. There wouldn't have been space. Women would have fairly engaged their sons as they did their daughters, which gets me back to the topic of why your mother is working against you. So your mothers have armed their daughters to deal with men. Yet, and as I said, they don't put in the same kind of commitment to empower their sons. And that's because she clearly chose gender over family. She was more interested in seeing her daughter have advantages in life, while many of her tactics have already backfired. It's right now, if you look at the United States and even many other countries, it's creating a social madhouse. So feminism basically fed women propaganda, and your mother bought into it. And a lot of women, even if they claim they don't like feminism, still promote it unknowingly. But I'd say most women in the US, they ate up the propaganda until they were stuffed. And here's the odd part. Statistically, as women get older, they start to abandon feminism. They see that it doesn't work. They see how it works against society. But what I find odd is they don't go back and tell the younger women that feminism is a mistake. They just allow it to keep getting pushed, and the cycle gets perpetuated by each generation of women. We're seeing that with these younger women. They're claiming women don't have rights, and guns have more rights than women. I mean, this is insanity, right? So while we are taught to love and respect our mothers as men, our mothers are working against us. She doesn't warn you about the games women play. If she did, not as many men would be going through divorce. Nor would you have as many men impregnating women who are using you as a sperm bank. And then a lot of these women use the children as pawns to work against you. See, if your mother was really working for you, like she raised you as her child and she loved you and wanted to see you have the best interest, she would sit you down and tell you about these things. So I'm saying your mother, your grandmother, your aunt, they've all sided with the women's movement because they were taught men are the enemy. And those women in your family, they believe it's fair for other women to have an advantage over you. Otherwise, they would have sat you down and said, look, here's how you handle women. Here's how you take women out without spending money on a date, right? You make sure she qualifies. They would have sat you down and said, here's how you cut through the BS with women and don't waste your resources. You're a man. They're going to exploit you. They would have told you this stuff. They would have said how to handle a woman. They would have made sure their sons never get put into the friend zone. A lot of guys get put into the friend zone. They would have told you how to have the advantage over women. They would have told you never marry without a very solid prenuptial agreement. And they would have said, look, marriage itself is a prenuptial agreement for a woman, except it's sanctioned by the government. So you amend that agreement with a prenuptial. If it's not about love, your mothers would have told you relationships, love is not the priority. It's about what you can build with this woman. And if she's a good enough mother to raise children, like she would have told you all these things to expect from women. No, but she makes sure your sister understands how to take advantage of women, advantage of men and use sex. She does this sometimes without explicitly saying. She does it as an example. Yeah. She would have made sure instead of you getting put in a friend zone, you would have been like a military sniper that can pick off your target effectively every single time. So your mother would have warned you, your grandmother, your aunts, your older sisters. But women are not working in men's behalf this way. They are exploiting, they are extracting resources from men. They take on the mindset that your money is our money and my money is my money. And a lot of guys think that's just the way it is and there's nothing they can do about it. I'm saying there is. But like I said in another video, the most important and the toughest conversation you need to have is with your mother. Because your mother has been working against you. And a lot of you guys don't realize it. I'm not putting your mother down. I'm saying that feminism has dropped so much propaganda into her brain, like she's overdosed on it. The other thing that I'm getting at is this transformational personal development allows you as a man to engage a woman and strip her down. Like, don't be afraid to strip a woman down. You have a right as a man. And if she's going to be on your side, on your page, you are going to have to strip down feminism in the same way you strip down a faulty operating system in a computer and rip the virus out and put in an operating system that works. I'm not talking about brainwashing. I'm talking about getting rid of the virus called feminism. And you have a right to do that. If you're a heterosexual man and you want a woman in your life, and if she wants to fight against being stripped down, then she never will have the power to be by your side, because transformation really does take power to go through that. To strip down and unlearn inappropriate, bad, backwards, foolish mindsets that work against your family, it works against the nation, and it definitely will work against your union in the long run. So, guys, I want to hear your thoughts on this. You like my view here? But give me some comments. If you've done this, I want to hear what you say. If I missed something, talk to me about it. If you want to talk to me about that transformational personal development, I'd love to have a conversation about the tools that I have that I can support you with so that you can strip women down with precision without damaging her. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, share it. I want as many men as possible to gain the kind of knowledge that you guys have gained. And I'll see you soon. Thanks a lot for listening. And don't forget to join me on Straight Talk on Facebook and on my talk show on Sunday nights. And enjoy, everyone. Take care. Goodbye.